already all. Match point or break point. Match point or break point coming your way. Alcaraz serving. He's serving for the title. He's 2 points away. His father looks to the sky. Huge first serve needed here. He gets it. And the return has gone long. We've got match point. We have championship point, ladies and gentlemen, for Carlos Alcaraz and his first Wimbledon title. It was the first serve that I said he needed. He got it. He got it, ladies and gentlemen. And now he has championship point. 10 years since Novak Djokovic lost on this court. But I'm telling you now, Djokovic won't be living in the past right now. He will be living in the present. But will Carlos Alcaraz be living in this present as well? Here we go, championship point. Return of serve, but this should be an easy forehand. It's not. He's won it! He's done it, ladies and gentlemen! He falls to the ground. Can you believe it? Carlos Alcaraz ends the 8th Wimbledon title dream for Novak Djokovic for at least another year, ending the calendar slam bid. It's the first time in 13 months that Djokovic has lost a Grand Slam match. And it's the first time he's lost on this court for 10 years. Alcaraz is a Grand Slam winner again for the second time in his career. And for the first time in his career, he has won Wimbledon. I repeat, Carlos Alcaraz has won the Wimbledon title. It is his second Grand Slam, and I'm reminded of a discussion I had with Jack recently where I said he would win 10 Grand Slams or more. Jack said he wouldn't. Would love to know Jack's thoughts right now.
Jack, what the hell are you talking about, mate? And also,
if he's gonna be the best player ever, let's see. If he's gonna win more than 10 Grand Slam, I think yes. He's a complete player. He can do everything in the court. His forehand is good, his backhand is good, slicing, lob shots, maybe serving. He need to improve this shot. But if you look on him, he has everything. Now it's good for the tennis that he came, because the tennis was in the point that everything is gone, the big three is almost done. But he came, he survived the tennis. And he will win more than 10 Grand Slams, because there's no many players who can make noise for him. There's no players except, let's say now, Djokovic, maybe Medvedev, maybe Sinner, maybe Rune, but he can do it. Maybe 15 Grand Slams.
Miles ahead in this generation, to be honest. He has the game, he has the right attitude, he has the confidence to go that far. And of course, it's definitely not going to be smooth sailing. There'll be dips in form along the way, there'll be injuries as well. But he has shown us in a short time that he has that potential. 2 Grand Slam champions titles already in less than a year. That's how good Carlos Alcaraz is. 10 Grand Slams or more. It'll happen.
Hey, Talking Tennis fans, Vivek Jacob here. I think Carlos Alcaraz will win 10 Grand Slams or more because, number one, he has the game so complete. The forehand, the backhand, the way he changes things up, the drop shots. Number two, the mentality. He wants to be great. He embraces everything that comes with needing to be great. And number three, I think the longevity. When you look at him at age 20, with already 2 Grand Slams to his name, having maybe 15 more years in this sport, I'll take my chances that he wins 10 or more.
I think Carlos Alcaraz probably won't make it to 10 slams because, let's face it, very rare for that to happen. Yeah, you had the big three doing it, but I don't think it's reasonable to assume that the top players in the game are going to do the same thing, or that Alcaraz is that level. It's best to find out how it's going to be. We also don't know about injuries. We don't know what other players are going to come through to challenge him. He may well be great now, age 20, but who knows, by 24, maybe another wonderkind would have come along. So yeah, that's why I am reluctant to predict that Alcaraz is going to get 10 majors or more.
Ready? Play.
Just before, well, in fact, during the first week of Wimbledon, you and I had a chat about Carlos Alcaraz and the potential for Grand Slam titles and the numbers, etc. Almost impossible to judge, but very possible to speculate. And I suggested on the grass that day that he would win 10 or more. You were not convinced. This is before he won his second Grand Slam. First of all, have you changed your mind, given the fact he went on to win Wimbledon as soon as he did in his career? And secondly, why or why not?
Yeah, not loads has changed. I guess it is pretty big, the Wimbledon title, kind of being able to step up and defeat Novak in the way that he did. But we didn't really, not really learned that much new about him. I still think I stand in the same place. I think the big reason, John, I'll just specify, is that the rest of the pack could catch up. I certainly believe in Yannick, and I think there's a lot of development Yannick has made, is making, and could go on to make, that will make him more of a contender in those matches. And specifically, that matchup is good, right? So if you're looking at his rivals, sometimes, if take Steph Tsitsipas as an example, that's always going to be a very kind matchup, regardless of how that works. Take Medvedev as an example. That's looking like it's going to be a very kind matchup, regardless of how often those two players go deep in slams. But then if you've got Yannick always kind of knocking at the door, and he can announce himself as a player who can do all that under pressure, which maybe he's not quite there yet, then why not limit him to like 9-10? I still think that those numbers that the big three posted for years and years are just gross and crazy and can never be used as the benchmark. Maybe more than 10 though. I think odds on probably for more than 10. But
That's what I mean, odds on, yeah, so more than 50% chance. Listen, I know what you mean regarding the figures that they've produced in terms of Grand Slams in particular, but I'm actually not talking what they've produced. I'm talking half of what they've produced, if you like, in terms of Grand Slams. I think there's another factor, which is I know one of the strongest counterpoints is that seeing repetitions of 10 or more is it's a little similar to what you've argued is actually not the norm, and if we look at it historically, that's the case. However, I actually think that what's happened in the past might be less of a norm, and we will see a few more double-digit Grand Slams, because what we saw in the past is players retiring much earlier, and sometimes extremely early in Bjorn Borg's case. Bjorn Borg, if he had managed to keep the momentum and keep the motivation, could well have gone on to win 15 or 20, rather than, what did he win, 10, 12? I'm not sure. But he reached double figures, I'm pretty sure, because he won 11 just between the French Open and Wimbledon, I think. So
it was just 11, because he never won the US or Australia.
Okay, so 11. But also players traveling as well. You wouldn't see Carlos going Australia is a bit far from me, mate, in an Aussie accent that I just reproduced for some reason. You could, of course, that flipped in for Margaret Court's figures, perhaps, but I just think that we might see quite a few players in the next 50 years do that, and we may well see 20 as being an unusual figure. But on the women's side, how many have we got in the 20s? We've got Steffi, Serena, Margaret Court, Chrissy Everett. What's she on about?
She's
18?
about 17, 18, I think.
17. So certainly if we look at 15 or more anyway, which until Federer came along was unprecedented on the men's game. We've actually had half a dozen or so do 15 or more. Martina Navratilova must be well over 15. I'm not sure without checking, and perhaps I should know. So I just think that actually people going, oh, but he's also won 2 very different slams in very different manners in a way. And he's got so many different ways of winning a tennis match and so many different ways of winning a tennis tournament on so many different surfaces. And so then, even if we then just go, you can't factor in injuries too much. We can just go, yes, he's going to, let's assume he has an average amount of time out injured. He could be above that. He could be below that. Well, we've seen in Rafa's case, I wouldn't be surprised if Rafa's is above average in terms of time away from the tour. And yet you can still win 20 Grand Slams plus. So, we can say that he's going to spend 18 months off the tour for one reason or another over the next 10 or 15 years. And then we go, he's on 2 Grand Slams already. I would be shocked, and we talk about more than a 50% chance. I would be shocked if by Wimbledon next year he hasn't added to that tally. So we're looking at 3 Grand Slams. Yeah. That would really surprise me. We're looking at something like an 80% chance he will add to his tally. Yeah. So therefore, we're 3 or more going into Wimbledon next year, and he's already a third of the way there, basically.
I have one counter to make, right? So if you look at any big three member and you put them in their slam of choice, right? You would go at any kind of moment of time in their careers, put anybody on the other side of the net of Djokovic at the Australian, Nadal at the French, Federer at Wimbledon. You would go, these guys are the overwhelming favourite in this match. The air, the aura that they bring to those tournaments is just unarguable. I don't think we've seen that from Carlos at any tournament yet, right? The US, the chances of him defending his title, 40% maybe, not like Novak at Australia, where I'm going.
Or Wimbledon. I know he just lost at Wimbledon recently.
Yeah, Wimbledon, of course. Yeah, the new Novak, exactly. You'd still go like 70%, maybe more, that this guy's going to win the tournament again. Carlos just hasn't built up that air for me yet, and I don't know if.
No, but had Rafa even done that at that stage?
No, I'm not saying. I'm not exactly. I'm not saying he won't.
Yeah.
I absolutely haven't saying that. And Rafa hadn't exactly. No, yeah, fair. Give him time. The point is, it's just too early, and I just need to be a little bit more swayed before I go all in. Basically, it's too early. He's 20 years old. He's doing so well for himself so far. But maybe, I don't know, maybe this kind of just, he's never going to be totally solid, absolutely dead cert at 1 slam or 2 slams, whatever.
Is it less contentious to argue or suggest that he is the best player in my lifetime, or let's go your tennis watching time, which would go back, I'm guessing are you old enough to remember sort of Nadal, Federer, Djokovic at 20, or be aware of their sort of levels at that? Yeah. So sort of from the year 2000 onwards, post Sampras Agassi era, certainly, but probably before as well. It's less contentious probably to say he's the best 20-year-old on the men's tour.
Yeah, I would say so.
We can judge that right now. I mean, listen, I know Rafa was good, but
it's different.
I don't think it was
it's just different. Nadal on clay, I think, was better than Carlos on any surface, but Carlos on any surface better than Nadal on any surface. Right, I would say, and I don't think Carlos is he's obviously not a one surface player. That's the point. He's just got a very all round amazing game. But Rafa's level on clay was still just like out of this world at that age. Like there was just no arguing with it. So Rafa in his element better than Carlos, I would say. So his peak actually, I would say, was higher than Carlos's in a way, if that makes sense, John.
Yeah. A year ago, what were you thinking regarding Carlos and winning Wimbledon? So think about pre-US Open a year ago. So he'd yet to win a slam. Were you on the side of he'll win it one day, or that might be the slam that eludes him? He's now just won it, of course, but try to remember a year ago.
Wimbledon or US? Sorry, John.
Wimbledon.
Yeah, that was, yeah. I mean, I don't even have to go back as far as a year. I can go back to grass season. I wasn't expecting loads. I thought he would still be finding his feet, and Carlos showed the world.
No, but in his career, the sort of question that might have been posed for Roger Federer at the French Open. I know he's a very, very good clay court player in any other era. So the question sort of a year ago wouldn't have been will he win double figure slams? I think a more legitimate question wouldn't have been will he win a slam, because I think we all knew it would happen eventually. Maybe not as soon as New York. And we probably never doubted that he would eventually win in Roland Garros, and we still don't doubt that one day. But I think probably of the four slams, the least likely at that juncture was Wimbledon. And so therefore the question was legitimate. Do you think he'll ever master the grass, and do you think he'll ever win Wimbledon? And did you? Because I said he will. I said he will. I didn't think it would happen that soon, but I just said every single question and solution, or a question out there, he's found a solution for it. And I was very confident in his ability, Rafa-esque, to get over that hurdle at Wimbledon one day.
Yeah, no, I don't know if he pushed me. I would have just been like, yeah, it could happen. No, I'll never really say with certainty. But I did think that he probably would win it maybe 3 or 4 years from now. As much as that, I thought it would take a long time for him to really master his serve and to really get used to the low bounce, which did cause him some issues last year. A very, very messy match against Yannick Sinner last year at Wimbledon when he lost. So, I mean, the amount he learned within the space of 5 weeks to win that tournament is staggering. It was probably one of the best achievements we've seen from any player in the last 10 years. It's amazing.
Wow. Big words there.
Yeah.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.